As the first rays of the binary stars pierced through the thin atmosphere of Eden, the colony below buzzed with activity. The star system, a dazzling gem in the void of space, had become a beacon of human resilience and ingenuity. Eden, with its rough terrain and harsh climates, was not an easy place to live, but it was home. Commander James Walker stood on the observation deck of the Defense Fleet's command station, overlooking the training grounds where the latest recruits maneuvered through a simulated obstacle course. His gaze was firm, his mind as sharp as the edge of the steel used in the hulls of the starships docked nearby. "Status report, Lieutenant," James called out without turning, his voice calm but authoritative. "Sir, all systems are stable, and the fleet is at 97% operational capacity," reported Lieutenant Harris, approaching with a datapad in hand. The young officer was efficient and precise, qualities that James valued. "Keep an eye on the long-range sensors. I don't want any surprises," James instructed, his mind partly on the reports of unidentified probes near their borders. Such incidents had become more frequent, and James knew it wasn't just paranoia. The Galactic Watch was keeping an eye on them. Turning back to the viewport, James watched as a group of fighters executed a near-perfect aerial formation. The sight was a reminder of what was at stake: the future of every man, woman, and child on Eden. They couldn't afford to be complacent, not when their very existence hung on the delicate balance of power in the galaxy. Later that day, in the war room filled with holographic maps and digital displays, James met with his senior advisors. The walls were lined with screens showing various parts of the colony and beyond, a constant reminder of the expanse they had to defend. "We've detected increased activity in Sector 17G, announced Commander Zhou, the head of surveillance. "It's subtle, but consistent with espionage probes." James nodded, his brow furrowed. "Scramble recon units. I want a cloaked sweep of the sector. If they are watching us, let's show them we watch back just as closely." As the meeting continued, strategies were laid down, contingencies planned. Every decision, every order given, had the weight of thousands of lives behind it, and James felt that weight deeply. The rest of the day passed in a blur of reports, simulations, and tactical adjustments. As night fell on Eden, and the stars shone more prominently against the dark sky, James remained in his office, poring over the latest intelligence data. Just as he was about to call it a day, an alert chimed on his console. An unidentified object had breached their outer defense perimeter. It was subtle, perhaps too subtle for anyone less vigilant than his team. James set the console to high alert and summoned his immediate response team. "Looks like we're going to have a long night," he muttered to himself, as he strode out of the office, ready to face whatever threats lay in the darkness of space. The breach had not been a false alarm. A scout ship, sleek and almost undetectable against the backdrop of space, had slipped through Eden's outer defenses. The craft bore the markings of the Galactic Watch, a fact that sent a ripple of tension through the command center where Commander James Walker now stood, his team arrayed around him. "Track its course. I want every move it makes logged and analyzed," James ordered, his voice a calm command amid the softly beeping consoles and murmured updates of his crew. The scout ship made a languid arc toward one of the lesser populated outposts on Eden, its movements too deliberate to be casual. It was probing, testing their responses. James watched the blip on the radar, his mind racing through scenarios. This was no ordinary patrol. It was a harbinger of something larger at play. Meanwhile, General Voss, the alien commander of the Galactic Watch, monitored the progress of his scout from his flagship station just outside the system's sensor range. His expression was unreadable, his eyes fixed on the holographic displays that showed the scout's path and the flurry of activity it had triggered on Eden. Back on Eden, James convened an emergency meeting with his top advisors. "This isn't just surveillance. They're testing our defenses, seeing how we react to an incursion," he theorized, looking each of his officers in the eye. Commander Zhou, expert in tactical espionage, suggested, "We could use this. Feed them false data. Make them think they've got us figured out. James considered this. Do it, but keep it subtle. We need to buy time to bolster our defenses and perhaps prepare for more than just spy games. The next few days were a cat-and-mouse game. Eden's forces subtly altered their patrol routes, feeding the scout ship innocuous yet misleading information about their military capabilities. At the same time, James ordered a series of clandestine upgrades to their defense network, accelerating production on new fighter models and enhancing their cyber warfare capabilities. In a high-stakes play, James also authorized a covert operation to plant a surveillance device on the scout ship. A small team of elite operatives, led by Captain Mira Zheng, approached the enemy vessel under the stealth of a localized cloaking field. The mission was fraught with risk. If the Galactic Watch detected them, it could be seen as an act of war. Mira and her team maneuvered close to the scout ship, their movements precise and calculated. The operation took hours, each moment stretched thin by tension. Finally, with the device securely in place, they retreated, leaving no trace of their presence. When James received confirmation of the mission's success, a brief smile broke his stern demeanor. "Now let's see what they are truly up to," he said, turning to the live feed from the surveillance device now transmitting from the scout ship. As the days passed, the data gleaned from the scout ship began to paint a concerning picture. The Galactic Watch was amassing a significant force just beyond the Oort cloud of the Eden system. It wasn't just precautionary. They were preparing for potential aggressive maneuvers. James knew that they were running out of time. Each move had to be calculated with precision, and the stakes were higher than ever. They needed to be ready for whatever came next, be it peace talks or battle. The tension in Eden's command center was palpable as reports of the Galactic Watch's growing force filtered in. Commander James Walker stood before a large digital map, observing the movement patterns of the enemy fleet. Each blip represented potential conflict, each line drawn a possible battlefront. "We need to send a clear message. Eden is not defenseless," James declared to his assembled officers. His decision was met with firm nods. It was time for action. Under the guise of a routine training exercise, James dispatched several squadrons to patrol the sectors closest to the Galactic Watch's assembly area. These units were not only to serve as a show of strength, but also to gather real-time data on enemy movements. Captain Mira Zheng, still riding the high from her successful covert operation, led one of the squadrons. Her ship, the Vanguard, cut through space with sleek precision. As they approached the designated sector, the proximity alarms began to blare. The training exercise quickly escalated into a real confrontation. A squadron of Galactic Watch fighters, sleek and menacing, emerged from the shadow of a nearby asteroid field. Their engines glowed ominously in the dim light of the distant stars. Without hesitation, Mira gave the order to engage. The skirmish was intense. Lasers crisscrossed the void, illuminating the darkness with bursts of deadly light. Mira maneuvered the Vanguard with expert skill, dodging incoming fire while landing critical hits against the enemy. It was a dance of death and precision, a test of Eden's resolve and capabilities. Back at the command center, James monitored the engagement, his expression unreadable. Each report from the front lines, each casualty report, weighed heavily on him. But the bravery and skill of his pilots, especially Mira, bolstered his resolve. The skirmish ended as abruptly as it had begun. The Galactic Watch fighters, not expecting such fierce resistance, withdrew to their previous positions. Mira and her squadron returned to Eden, their ship scarred but intact, their morale high. This was a victory, but a small one. James addressed his team after debriefing. "We've shown that we can defend ourselves, but we must prepare for a larger-scale conflict." The following days were a flurry of activity. James ordered the acceleration of ship production and the enhancement of station defenses. Training drills were intensified, and the entire colony seemed to brace for the inevitable storm on the horizon. Meanwhile, The covert surveillance device aboard the Galactic Watch scout ship continued to transmit valuable intelligence. It became clear that General Voss was growing impatient. The skirmish had rattled some within the Galactic Watch's command structure, sparking debates over their next course of action. James used this intelligence to his advantage, planning his next moves with strategic precision. He knew that the true battle for Eden's future was just on the horizon, and every piece of information, every small victory, brought them closer to securing a place for humanity in the galaxy. In the dimly lit war room of Eden's command center, Commander James Walker reviewed the latest satellite images with his senior officers. The holograms showed the Galactic Watch's forces, now more significant in number, shifting subtly in their positions, a sign that General Voss was planning something decisive. "It's time we take the initiative," James stated, his voice resolute. He outlined his plan for a bold preemptive strike against the Galactic Watch's forward operating base. This base, located on a nearby moon, served as a staging ground for their fleet and was less fortified than their main command ships. The plan was risky. It required precision and coordination on a level they hadn't attempted before. But James knew that a successful strike could significantly disrupt Voss's operations and buy Eden precious time to strengthen its defenses. Captain Mira Zheng, freshly commended for her bravery in the recent skirmish, was chosen to lead the assault team. She understood the stakes and the trust James placed in her abilities. As she prepared her squadron, the weight of command felt heavier than ever. The night before the operation, James met with Mira. "Keep your focus on disabling their command and control systems," he advised. "We need to cripple their ability to respond quickly. This isn't just about destruction. It's about gaining a strategic advantage." Under the cover of cosmic dusk, Mira and her team launched from Eden. Their ships, equipped with the latest stealth technology, slipped through space undetected, closing in on the moon. The silence of space belied the tension aboard each craft. As they neared the target, sensors picked up the faint energy signatures of the Watch's defense systems. Mira gave the signal, and her squadron fanned out, deploying electronic countermeasures to obscure their final approach. The first phase of the attack was swift and precise. Plasma charges were launched at key infrastructures, followed by Mira and her pilots swooping in to engage any scrambling defenders. The base was caught off guard. Its response sluggish. James's plan was working. Back on Eden, James monitored the operation, his face lit by the soft glow of the tactical displays. Reports flowed in. Targets hit. Enemy crafts downed, minimal casualties on their side. Each report bolstered his hope that this bold move would shift the war in their favor. The operation reached its climax as Mira led a daring maneuver to take out the base's communication array. With a well-placed strike, she severed the link between the moon base and the Galactic Watch fleet. Cheers erupted in the command center on Eden as the feed confirmed the array's destruction. However, victory was not without cost. As the squadron made their retreat, enemy reinforcements arrived, leading to a heated exchange of fire. Mira's ship sustained damage, and several of her team's crafts were hit. The retreat was as perilous as the assault, a harrowing end to a fraught mission. Upon their return, the pilots were met with mixed emotions: relief at their survival, mourning for the fallen, and a somber appreciation for the ground gained against a formidable foe. James commended the bravery of the pilots, acknowledging the sacrifices made. "Today we've dealt a significant blow to the Watch," he addressed his people. "But this is just the beginning. We must remain vigilant and ready to defend our home." As Eden fortified its defenses and prepared for the repercussions of their aggressive stance, James knew the Galactic Watch would not take this attack lightly. The tide of war had turned, but the waves were far from calming. In the aftermath of Eden's bold strike, the galaxy seemed to hold its breath. The forward base on the moon lay crippled, its communications severed, leaving the Galactic Watch's fleet temporarily disorganized. Commander James Walker, aware of the fleeting advantage, convened his top advisors to plan the next steps. "Their response will be swift once they regroup," James predicted, addressing the gathered officers in Eden's war room. "We must use this time to push for negotiations while they're off balance." General Voss, equally shaken by the unexpected ferocity and precision of the human attack, convened his own council aboard his flagship. The damage to the moon base was a blow to his command's prestige and operational capability. "Prepare a communication to the human commander," he instructed his aides. "It is time we discuss terms to avoid further unnecessary conflict." James received the communication with a mixture of skepticism and relief. "They're willing to talk," he announced to his team. "But stay alert. This could be a stratagem." Preparations began for high-stakes negotiations. A neutral location was chosen, a space station in orbit around a deserted planet, equidistant from both human and galactic watch territories. James chose a small trusted team to accompany him, including Captain Mira Zheng, whose combat experience and sharp judgment had proven invaluable. On the day of the negotiations, the atmosphere at the space station was tense. Delegates from both sides met in a stark circular room designed for diplomacy. The cold metal walls and the vast viewport, showing the silent expanse of space, served as a constant reminder of the high stakes. General Voss and Commander Walker sat at opposite ends of the oval table, their aides flanking them. Voss opened the discussions with a stern declaration of the Galactic Watch's commitment to maintaining peace and order. "This conflict has gone far enough," he stated, his voice resonant in the quiet room. "Let us find a way to coexist without further bloodshed." James responded with equal firmness, outlining Eden's right to self-defense and sovereignty. "We have shown that we will not be intimidated or oppressed," he declared. "We seek peace, but not at the cost of our freedom." Hours passed as each side laid out their terms. James negotiated for recognition of Eden's autonomy and a formal ceasefire, while Voss demanded assurances that human military expansion would be restrained. The negotiations were grueling, with several recesses taken to consult and recalibrate strategies. Mira, observing quietly, passed notes to James, suggesting subtle shifts in approach to align with Voss's honor-driven culture. As the talks stretched into the evening, a breakthrough finally came. Compromises were made, with Eden agreeing to limit certain types of military buildup in exchange for zones of non-interference from the Galactic Watch. When the treaty was drafted, both James and Voss signed, their aides witnessing the historic moment. "This treaty marks a new chapter," James said, allowing himself a rare small smile, one based on mutual respect and a desire for peace. As the delegations left the negotiation table, there was a palpable sense of cautious optimism. News of the treaty spread quickly across human and alien channels, sparking debates and discussions on the future of human-galactic relations. Back on Eden, James addressed his people, informing them of the treaty's terms and the expected path forward. The community received the news with a mix of relief and resolve, ready to face the future, whatever it might bring. Following the successful negotiations, the atmosphere on Eden shifted from one of cautious tension to cautious optimism. Commander James Walker felt a profound sense of responsibility as he steered his people into this new era of peace and potential prosperity. In the days that followed the signing of the treaty, James focused on solidifying Eden's infrastructure and defenses within the agreed limits. "We must be vigilant, not provocative," he frequently reminded his team during their strategic planning sessions. The first task was to upgrade the communication networks between Eden and its outer colonies, to ensure that they could respond quickly to any potential crises without violating the treaty terms. James worked closely with engineers and technicians, overseeing the installations of advanced encrypted communication arrays that spanned the entire system. Parallel to the technological upgrades, James initiated a series of community outreach programs designed to rebuild trust and optimism among Eden's citizens. Town hall meetings were set up where he and other leaders discussed the treaty's implications and answered questions from the public. These sessions were vital in maintaining transparency and easing the population's concerns about their new galactic standing. Captain Mira Zheng, now promoted to admiral, due to her outstanding service and leadership, took charge of reorganizing the defense fleet. Her approach was strategic, focusing on mobility and rapid response rather than sheer firepower. She conducted rigorous training sessions, ensuring that every pilot and crew member was adept at defensive maneuvers and emergency protocols. Culturally, Eden began to embrace its unique identity as a former exiled planet now recognized as a sovereign entity. Festivals celebrating both human resilience and newfound peace became common, with James often seen participating, sharing stories of Earth and its historical struggles for freedom and respect. In an effort to foster a deeper understanding between humans and the Galactic Watch, James also endorsed several cultural exchange programs. These programs invited members of the Galactic Watch to visit Eden and experience human culture firsthand, and vice versa. The exchanges were awkward at first, but gradually, mutual respect and understanding began to blossom. Amidst these advancements, a special commemoration ceremony was held to honor those who had fallen during the conflicts. A monument was unveiled in the central plaza of Eden's capital, bearing the names of the fallen and an eternal flame that symbolized the enduring spirit of humanity. James delivered a heartfelt speech, emphasizing the importance of remembering the past while looking forward to the future. As the year drew to a close, James found himself on the observation deck of Eden's main station, looking out at the bustling spaceports and thriving colonies. Ships bearing both human and alien flags docked side by side, a testament to the new era of cooperation and peace. The challenges ahead are many, James thought to himself, but today we stand united, not just as survivors but as pioneers of a new frontier. Reflecting on the journey from exile to empire, James felt a surge of pride for his people's resilience and determination. We have not just survived, we have thrived, he mused, and with that thought he turned away from the viewport, ready to face whatever challenges and opportunities lay ahead.